Hey everybody, this is Perch, and this is how distracted I am. I started doing a video, and I was like 30, 40 seconds into it, and then it dawned on me the radio was on in the car, and there's just music and crap playing in the background, and I'm like, I can just tune that stuff right out. I also kind of now wonder if I had from the car, as long as we're putting up this crap audio here, if I actually had music playing in the background, would that get a copyright strike if I'm playing these songs out there? I don't know. YouTube is increasingly frustrating. I would say they're blocking a lot of very random things. I go into the held comments and there's just super bizarre stuff in there that get blocked, but yet blatant clear spam. Like there's a paragraph of just kind of random Spanish with NFTs buried all over it. That stuff clears the censors, no problem. Absolutely no problem. That's perfectly fine. Same comment gets posted 20 times in a video, clearly spam advertising for baby ghosts NFTs, and not a word from YouTube. But if somebody is talking about how I don't know, what was the one that got it's like, one of the most powerful moments in comics for me was when Spider-Man failed to save Gwen Stacy and she died. That comment gets held as inappropriate. So I don't get it anymore. I just I don't enjoy any of this. But anyway, YouTube is I don't know. You just learn not to trust any of it. But let's read this viewer mail. Now people can say, hey, video actually starts in 1 minute and 50 seconds or whatever the hell it is. It says, hey, Perch, you made a video recently on how Marvel Comics and soon after DC Comics had a silly house style. My problem is that you made it seem like it's a bad thing, but most manga have their goofy slice of life moments. Of course, there are exceptions, Berserk and Akira, and those are both pretty solid, manga for sure. Yes, I do need to do the Berserk retrospective. I will absolutely get on that. Anyway, seem like they stick to their serious tones, though I haven't read them. Nazca, the Valley of the Wind doesn't waste any time as an epic fantasy for stupid jokes, or seeing Nazca bedridden with a common cold. But on the whole, and especially with popular stuff in the U.S., manga is very joke-heavy and very slice of life. From constant comedic breaks in One Piece and the constant unnecessary scenes of eating in Dragon Ball to romance manga that rarely aren't also comedic and slice of life, I just wanted to clarify that what Marvel is doing isn't necessarily bad, just that they're doing it wrong. That's fair, or poorly, one of those. Like how you've mentioned multiple times on your channel about the baseball scenes in X-Men, it's not that the idea isn't bad in the first place, it's that it shouldn't be the whole issue. Thanks as always. So, you're right, but there's a couple other differences in all this, and one of them is that if you adopt a style from the beginning and you stick to that style, people aren't going to complain kind of midway through that you've shuffled things around. And in many cases, the comic books that we're talking about with Marvel and DC, they had a style, they had a theme. And then the tone shifted pretty dramatically. So it's for example, yes, certainly manga's had goofy moments, but the big threats in manga, like Blackbeard the pirate in One Piece, is kind of this, very threatening, but very, his personality and style is very, very different than, say, Kashiki or Arlong, or the various villains have different personalities. And what they don't do is that they don't take a big threat, like they don't take Blackbeard, and then they don't waste multiple episodes having him kind of, be silly and pranks, just doing kind of nonsense stuff. They keep the characters fairly consistent. In comics, they do the slice of life, but they inject it into pre-established themes and characters and modes, so it actually changes what you know. So you get all comfortable with a comic, or get comfortable with the style, and then suddenly the comic radically changes. It's going to be more noticeable. You're right, Dragon Ball has tons of scenes of eating, but in many cases they had that from the beginning, and it fits that story. I don't think that comics have to be trapped in amber and never change, but you can't just slide into it and expect people not to take issue with it. Also, Dragon Ball still keeps the villains and the threats threatening. They keep the serious moments serious. I think the challenge is that a lot of the Western comic books, which built themselves on a style of heroes fighting villains, superhero stories, whether you love it or you don't, and they shifted that to where the bad guys are really not that big a deal, and the heroes are always kind of just running around beating up just kind of random faceless white supremacists, and I mean, and seem bored doing it. This is kind of one of the other kind of odd parts about comics when they want to tackle the issue of white supremacy, and white supremacy is evil, and I get that heroes would want to tackle that problem, but do they have to like joke around and look bored and tired doing it? Like I don't know, that it sends a weird message when the hero's like, oh, it's these guys again. Well, we better punch them a few times. That'll teach them. Or they invent very weird scenarios like the white supremacists have somehow set up their own social network to harass specifically Latino people, which is something that happened in the Ghost Rider short story. It doesn't make that threat feel threatening. And if the heroes are also tired and bored dealing with the threat, you get to this place of like, I don't even know what's going on right now. Like, why are we? What's the point? It's and so manga absolutely has slice of life, and they have very successful slices of life stories. Rumiko Takahashi, one of my favorite, absolute favorite manga creator of all time. If you look at Ranma, it's filled with wacky jokes, gender changing, because whenever you pour water on Ranma, he turns into a girl, and there's comedy that comes out of that, or an animal, or whatever it happens to be. And it's totally slice of life. Mesa Daikoko, which is one of the kind of the underserved, I'd say, manga titles out there from Takahashi, is completely slice of life. That is absolutely what that entire thing is, with some romance kind of splashed into it. That's the very nature of that story. So, I love it, but it always was that way from issue number one, page number one. That's what it set off to be, and they do it well. So I think there's two different categories. Like I said, that if you could do it, you got to do it well. And I have to believe that a lot of the stuff in Western comic books, kind of the slice of life stuff that we get in the X-Men books right now with the Krakoa era, if it was written well, if it was told in a good way, a way that actually engaged people, then I think there would be a different story. And by the way, I do think, granted, what well means is subjective. So you may love it, I may not, that's fine. But enough people are not buying the books, meaning the numbers are sluggish for much of the X line, which suggests that it's not, it's really not catching on beyond either the hardcore collectors or a niche audience, which, I do think gives you an objective measurement to say it's not landing with people. So I think that these are, I think you do it well, and I also think you have to somewhat stick to the premise you started with. If right now they decide to continue the Harry Potter series, but they hired John Grisham to do it, and he took away all the magic and started doing more legal drama courtroom stuff, nobody is going to want to listen to that. Nobody's going to want to read that. And it's not because Grisham's a bad writer necessarily. It's that they established the tone. People are going to complain. So I think that that's kind of the factor of what's going on. And I think that that's why, definitely. By the way, I do point out when people say all slice of life writing is garbage or anything like that. Clearly it is not. There are some amazing, really good slice of life books out there, clearly. A lot of people like Spy X Family right now. That is tiny bit of action, mainly a family book, plenty of slice of life elements. That people like that. But again, it said what it was at the very beginning. It stuck to it. It did it well, and so I think it works. I think Marvel absolutely should put out a slice of life book. Absolutely, just start something new. Don't kind of retrofit slice of life into the Avengers. Anyway, my opinion. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like and subscribe, of course. Thank you very much for the mail, and thanks for listening.